for example, right, of Mali, they're still holding on deeply to their rootedness, right? Something that because of what happened to us as colonial subjects, like that we lost along the way, right? So if you're seeking truth, I think you should go to people who didn't get interrupted the way we got interrupted, right? And I think my disagreement with this sort of single origin story is that their origin story is not the same origin story that I hear from Umzulu, KwaZulu Natal, from you know, from the Ashanti. And that's what I'm trying to get at. That's what I'm trying to understand. Like, where is the moment, where is the point of convergence?
But,
right?
we did explain it when we cited Mkhulu Credo Mutwa from Indaba My Children, that he talked about this common origin, which is Abantu.
Can we agree? Prologue, every Credo Mutwa book, prologue. Credo Mutwa was an artist, a storyteller. And his books have a lot of story embellishments. He himself acknowledged and admitted not everything in this book is factual history.
Well,
so now we cannot now.
No,
he himself
don't say we.
Said,
don't say we.
He himself in his books.
No, wait.
He himself said that in his books.
Stop generalizing.
Can we prioritize such information for the children at home?
No, it's because you see, it's because you see there is this tendency to preempt before we finish. You understand? Because we were talking about that we established civilization. But my brethren look at it as now oppositional. You see? Because you see, there are records of the Japanese, even their stature, comparing them with Abato. Understand?
No, we know about the Ainu, we know.
So, but not everybody do. And
we know that.
No,
we
can't send everything around
you. Can we speak about something?
No, we can't send everything about you. No,
I'm not saying let it be about me.
No. We can't send everything.
It can't be about
we can't say what you only want to hear here. No, we can't do that. Because you see, Mkhulu said, let's talk about the black achievements in Japan. You don't want to hear that because you know it.
No, I'm not stopping you.
You are stopping me.
I'm not.
And it's a little bit
what is upsetting. African history outside European influence?
No, listen. You are not the presenter here. We're having conversation, Kaufel. You need to understand number one. We're having conversation here. So you're not going to micromanage the conversation.
To say that we're going to take Credo Mutwa's stories as our history. We're as good as taking the Bible and saying that's our history.
You can't streamline a conversation, particularly if you have diverse views. What you can do, which is basically the core of South Africa, is multicultural, multiracial, multilinguistic. It's a plural society. So you are going to have different views. The best you can do is allow them.
I don't think there's a universal.
There is no universal story.
Like, this is
that's
where
they all connect, but asikho lapho. Asikho lapho khehla ngicela ukwazi ukuthi those that came first at Japan, what did they do? Those that landed first at America, what did they do? Those that landed first at China, what did they do? That's all I'm interested in, manje. I look okunye, can you exhaust that, please?
Well, okay, because you interrupted me to get into the point you want to drive this at. And you must understand that where there's a push, there's got to be a pull. You need to, once you get into the ring and into the fight, you must accept also punches going down. But now, what you interrupted was the civilizations that, the original civilizations were all black. And where you trace them, even their gods, you know, you go to, they have Krishna painted black,
but now,
Buddha black.
Can we stop? Can I?
Yes.
Can I? Because
yes, please.
Can I'm black. Can I have a logical, intellectual conversation with other logical, intellectual humans without color without us against them. Can we just say,
You're missing the
no,
point.
ngithe I,
No, you're
ngithe
missing the
I,
point. No,
ngithe
you're-
I. Can I have an intellectual conversation on my own,
No, do
me
that,
one,
exactly.
and discover myself without comparing myself to anyone,
Exactly, do
without
that.
trying to be first at anything.
No, do
you
that.
understand?
That is why-
Without trying to race with anyone
No,
else,
do
can I
that.
just try to find who I am and my value and my worth first?
Exactly, exactly. Do that. That is why you see we're different here. This man has got his bald head. You got your turban and one long beard. I've got mine here. Baba Bunju's got his. Umkhulu Mtsingiz has got his. Because we represent different schools of thoughts. We need to accept that. Now, you push the line that you push. But here, at the end of the day, it's a black line. You are a black man who don't want to talk about others. We are black men who are so happy to talk about us and the rest. Because it's us and the rest.
I think as Africans, there needs to be an educational effort from those that came before us to remind us, not even to educate us, about where we come from.
The conversations continue after the break. Castle Milk Stout. Savor your richness. The conversation continues on Black Conversations. Proudly brought to you by Castle Milk Stout. Savor your richness.
I think we often enter conversations like this expecting that there should be one outcome and that the best thing is if we all can agree. And this is why I'm holding on to blackness, even if it's a very problematic term. Because blackness, yes, it's pride, it's knowing my history, it's understanding my position in this thousands and thousands of years journey. But it also speaks to the trauma that I carry. It also speaks to my self-hatred. It also speaks to the inner conflicts that I'm struggling with. It speaks to the community that I'm trying to be part of, that I see we are also fighting, we are hating, we are, excuse me, doing so many horrible things also to each other. And I think this is why I'm not always comfortable having these conversations in spaces that we don't own. Because when we talk, and we said, several of us said, let's talk the truth, let's talk the realness, let's go back to the origin. It's very difficult for me to get to that origin without talking about the pain, without talking about death, without talking about massacres, without talking about things that are very unresolved within the collective spirit of our people. And I'm not sure if the world outside of this always can understand that, and if I even want to try to explain it.
Post-traumatic slave disorder, post-traumatic colonial disorder, post-traumatic Christian disorder, post-traumatic apartheid disorder. We went through a lot of traumas, even in the context of South Africa here. We were never rehabilitated as a nation, even the institutions that came with the social structures of colonialism.
Lendo of African people populating the whole world for a long time. You know, it's from the elders, Abo Ivan van Sertima. You know, Uranuko Rashid did a scientific research about the presence of blackness everywhere in the world. So you are learning from those greats who there hasn't been anybody who said they were lying, because it's factual. He's been there. You know, he knows the people in Japan. Black people are still there in Japan, but oppressed by the mutations of the Japanese. It's happening all over the world. You know, all the Ogon people are being oppressed. So that's why their voice is silenced. So it's up to us to learn from the elders about Uguchi. The samurai was an Ethiopian guy who went to Japan to establish there. Do you understand? And when you look at karateka, the drawings are there in Kemet. You find all the origins of that thing, Lapo Kemet. And remember, Guti Kemet was birthed by Ethiopia, Kush, the first emperor in China, Emperor Fusi, was an African person. So, if value of us coming here is to assist, not to misdirect abantu. In China and Japan, Australia, they were all established by black people. Do you understand? Meaning black people gave foundation to what we call Western civilization. This is the excitement that I have when I receive knowledge about black people. You know, their achievements all over the world. It makes me walk tall. Even in the midst of oppression in my own country,
Exactly.
I'm able to walk tall because I know what I'm birthed by these great ones.
Yes.
We are creating another system of oppression now, a system of non-intelligence. We have to look at everything from a black and white perspective. Why can't we look at each other as humans? You want to tell me that what Shaka Zulu did in Africa is better than what Napoleon Bonaparte did in France? What Joseph Stalin did is better than what Mushweshwe did? What Umzilikazi kaMashobane did to Zimbabwe, all the way from KwaZulu, all the way to Zimbabwe, it's better than what Hitler did with the Third Reich? Come on, let's not be partial in our judgment.
I teach a lot in my work, curatorially and as an artist, is about epistemicide, which is part and parcel with the genocide that happened here. And these words are new words, you know. 1950, that's when the word, I think 1950 was when the word genocide was created. 1995 is when the word epistemicide was created, to identify these phenomenons that move us away from our roots to this counterfeit identity, you know, that we find today. I think Western civilization, how I'm understanding you, is a counterfeit for African civilization. And it's a deodorized version
That's true.
of what the origin is.
That's true.
Why I'm interested in epistemicide and why I want people to know about it, I think the value of this conversation is that we really need to engage in the rites, the rituals, the ceremonies, the customs, the traditions that make us who we are. And it's not just for dignity, you know, that we can get back our dignity and our self-esteem. These are useful for the time that we find ourselves in now in the world. You know, in the age of perpetual war, there's never been a day when there hasn't been war somewhere. There's never been a day where somebody's not being oppressed. There's never been a day where somebody doesn't lose something, and it continues every day. We're experiencing language death. You know, our children, when I speak to my partner, we speak English. What's going to happen to our child? You know, like, we have to think about that, because this plan to erase us, which is really the grand master plan, to erase us, is bigger than all of us. And episteme is a knowledge system. So epistemicide is about the destruction of knowledge systems, indigenous knowledge systems in particular, through colonialism.
As again, loosely, Africans, we are divided into groups, you know, subdivisions called tribes by people, you know. It's the general term for it is called, there's different tribes in Africa. The word tribe is a problem. The word tribe is not how we identified ourselves. Rather, you could call us by izizwe, nations, kingdoms. What are nations? What are kingdoms in the African context? It's basically 9 families. We are all coming from one central father, one central mother. And by breaking away the sons, I'll give you an example, WaXhosa. There's 2 nations, Abachachabe, Namagcaleka, and they are divided by a river. uChachabe and Gcalega are brothers from the same father, 2 different mothers. Now, both mothers balotshona kwenziwa yonke into, and they were supposed to come bazothathwa ke emzini. And it happened ukuthi bangena at the same time. Bafika on the same day. Now you have to determine who is the greater house, who is the lesser house, because now bafike boy 2 and they both come from important families. The solution was lo uzoba undlunkulu, the great house, lo abe indlu yokunene, the right hand house, and both of them can give birth to an heir to the throne. But when these two boys grow up, their father separated them. Omunye wayangale, omunye wayangale. So now the kingdom, which was one, yakwaXhosa, became two. Now, if you look at many of our histories, it's the same. It was one, and then it broke up.
So you spoke about the African nations. Central to the African nation is the African clan, is the African family, and which is one thing we struggle with right now, based on everything we have brought up today. And I want us to presence it because we are also sitting here as brothers. And there's nothing wrong with that, but there's also a component missing in the African, how we tell our story, the African woman's voice. We must not perpetuate and normalize what has been part of the colonial wound we have carried for a long time as well, that women are at the back, women are absent, women are not really speaking. That's not our story. And it's important for us to, when we look back, like Nkulu said, the reason we look back in history is so that I can walk firmer in the now and build a future that is built on power, the power that I can actually extract from my history. Absolutely. And I think in that, we can't build that as men alone. The men and women, and we need to normalize and get used to. And that's plugging out from a Eurocentric system. That's plugging out from what whiteness has embedded within us, which has been very much based on the fear that the white man has of the white woman. And we sometimes internalize and make that normalized within African culture as well. I just want to remind us as well that the reason we need to talk about these topics is so that we can create a stronger African family, stronger African clan, stronger African nation. But at the root of that, it's something that I know we struggle with and that we need to improve, the African family.
I think the mono thinking, of finding a centralized way of things. No, it should be networked. Different voices, women's voices, men's voices, children's voices, elderly voices, all speaking in concordance and in harmony with each other, so that everybody is heard.
I don't want us to reach a consensus on blackness. Blackness is so vast. It's every aspect of who we have been, who we are, who we want to become. It's problematic, it's enriching, it's beautiful, it's destructive. So I think we shouldn't be afraid of it having conflictual aspects to it. And I think today was a great example of presencing that we are different, we think differently, we have different, but nobody came for anybody. Nobody said, you be quiet. It was not vicious, it was not destructive.
Yeah, man. Hey. Black. So, what do you think? What would you say is the problem? For me, the problem is one, when we're always like in a competition with these white people. We always, when we're talking about history, siyasithethe nangesilungu umzekelo njengangoko yazi ndiyabawela ukuba ke ndiyiqale yonke le nto ndiyithethe ndingeke ndifake isirhanuka kodwa kunzima akululanga kuzifikelele endlebeni ezininzi kalo mntu ocofayo ezi zinto oluxhakaxhaka ngumntu osaziyo isilungu nqabile ke umntu ongasazi isilungu ngoba nawo uxhakaxhaka akwazi nokumamela izinto apha kwezi ndawo kuthiwa ngoYouTube kodwa ke ngenye imini nje iphupha lam linye ngasesikwazi udevelopha i-app nje apho abantu bazoyisebenzisa ibe yethu andiqonda ibe yethu noba iregulathwe nguGoogle but ibe yethu kungenzeka ntoni if bangavala uFacebook bavala uTikTok bavale uYouTube singathini thina okanye bathathe nala WhatsApp singathini because at the moment singanengxaki mhlawumbi neAmerica ithi America isifaka sanctions zonke iicompanies zaseAmerica zizawuyeka uoperate eSouth Africa. That means ke yonke le nto siyibukeleyo ingaphela ii-computers nosebenza ne-network sawuze sibe nezinto nini. But ke that being said, asijikishe elandelayo uba izawuhamba ithini into but kokangoku ke yeah man kuyenzeka apha emhlabeni kuningi yeah, let's put the mic on. It's just a lot. this is a for me to have in my account here. But nonetheless, guys, and yazi. So today I told myself that I won't be busy with I won't be online and stuff like that, focus on my stuff, but I'm not motivated, guys. I'm really not motivated. Do you wanna hear another one? Let's watch 2 hours. But let's go, 12 hours ago, what was Mantasha saying?
I added way too much sugar to my gochujang pasta sauce. What do I do now?
What if we turn it into some tasty cookies?
Tell me how.
Add butter, mix it together, bake it for 10 minutes.
Hey, right now.
All power. Program director.
Monday.
Comrade. Utapa. Andifuna ndandokazi anakubuza ngegama. Ii-members ze-NEC ezikhoyo apha, a number of them. Ii-members ze-Provincial Executive Committee, leaders of the leagues, leaders of the alliance, members and delegates to the conference. Yabona mos xa nirhalelana ngale ndlela nirhalelana ngayo. Ingxaki into yoba niza kwenzakalisana kodwa niyazalana. Ngoku ke sasikhula thina enye into egadiweleyo into yoba kanizalana ningabethani ngohlobo oluthile. Xa omnye wenu uwile aphosele ibhayi ngomama ningambhuqi. Ndinengxaki ke le nto yokungxamelana kwenu ngolu hlobo ndinibona ningxamelene ngayo. Thobani imimoya yinkomfa yenu le. Uba kwiingxaki nizawusombulula nina. Kho mntu uzawunisombululela zingxaki yakho. Now, let's start by congratulating all of you and all structures that prepared for this conference, because preparing for a conference and holding a conference is a process of normalization. We had a long discussion about this word, program direct. Others were saying it's a revival. Others were saying it's an effort to stop a demise. We said no. When you prepare for a conference and the conference is held, you are normalizing the operations of the organization. Because when structures are not in good standing,
Black noise, black noise.
Black noise.